All right, let's begin. So our aim for this webinar is to, first of all, share with you what's been missing from your business up until now and how your brain has been keeping you stuck so far. Secondly, I'm going to go through how you can revolutionize your business results by gaining control over your own brain chemistry. And then secondly, by changing your brain's GPS to match the results that you want to get in your life and your business so that you then end up going there automatically, getting those results automatically. Thirdly, very importantly, there's nothing to buy on this webinar. We're not going to sell you anything. There is nothing, you can't buy anything on this webinar. Towards the end of the webinar, I will give you a little bit of information on our Accelerated Business Transformation Program. And then finally, we will do a Q&A so that you can get your questions answered. We'll answer all of your questions at the end there. All right. So according to the International Coaching Federation, and I know that most of you in the audience today are coaches, but this actually, all of this information will apply to everybody. We're just speaking mainly to coaches because that's the majority of our audience. So according to the International Coaching Federation, 82% of coaching businesses fail within the first 2 years, and over 50% of coaches earn less than $1,000 per month, those are shocking numbers, obviously. So of the coaches we've worked with and spoken with, we found that the biggest challenges for them are building an audience, but not getting any engagement. So they may have a following, but nobody's really engaging. They're not getting clients. Secondly, they can't get their voice heard amongst the crowd, and they're overshadowed by more established coaches. Thirdly, they can't seem to reach the right type of client, right type of person in their audience. And number 4, they're feeling undervalued and they're unable to charge enough to sustain their business, to be able to continue and grow their business. And number 5, self-doubt and imposter syndrome is far more common than most of us think. I know it was definitely a surprise to me just how prolific that is. Steve and I both had those issues. And so let us know in the chat which of those you've been struggling with, or if we've left any out. So why do 82% of coaching businesses fail? Many people think it's lack of business skills. So we're wonderful at helping our clients, but we're not necessarily business people or salespeople. Some people think that clients won't pay higher prices for coaching, and so they can't charge enough. And the third reason that some people think is the coaching market is saturated. So let's look at each of those. Business skills and sales skills can be learned. So that's not a reason for a business to fail. And clients definitely pay higher prices. So there are many coaches out there who are charging higher prices, and clients are happy to pay them for the results they get. And then as for the coaching market being saturated, there are so many more people out there in the world who need our help than there are coaches who can help them. So that's not the reason either. Steve and I have gone through, between the two of us, we've gone through all of these books that you see on the screen, plus a lot more, and along with, coaching courses, programs, and all that kind of thing, trying to find out what it is that makes some people successful and others not. So some people achieve success and others don't. So the 3 reasons we've discovered that hold most coaches back are they don't have control over their own brain chemistry. Their brain's GPS is still set for past results instead of being aligned with their goals and dreams. And they don't know how to change their brain's GPS to match the results they want. And of course, these are the things we're going to go over for you today. So there are 3 parts to this webinar. The first, I'm going to go over gaining control over your own brain chemistry and the effects of that, what the brain's GPS is, and how you can change it to level up your business and give you the advantage over the others in your field. The second part will go into strategy. So how to get real world results for your business using this information. And then finally, part 3, the solution will go into the system that makes getting those results fast and easy and permanent. We're not going to go into much about who we are. If you'd like to know more information or specific things about us, feel free to ask us in the Q&A. But we're going to give you a little bit of background so that you know why this information works. So I'm going to hand over to Steve first of all.
Yep. So, yeah, thanks, Odile. So here are just a couple of snapshots of my professional career before and after, using what we are going to be sharing with you here today. So up until about 2017, I had started multiple businesses that ultimately failed because I couldn't seem to attract enough clients. I had some old self-worth issues, and I was significantly undercharging for my services. And while I was getting some coaching to raise my prices, I just couldn't seem to bring myself to do it. And I was struggling with promoting myself, and I was anxious on camera. And like Odile said, I was dealing with imposter syndrome. I was constantly worried about what other people were thinking about me. And I also had a huge fear of rejection. I absolutely hated sales and everything to do with sales. And as a result of that, I had a terrible track record, and I just couldn't imagine getting out there, reaching out, and doing even more sales calls. So type 1 in the chat if any of that sounds familiar to you. However, when I discovered and put into practice what we're sharing with you here today, my life and my business skills changed completely. And now, instead of hating and failing miserably at sales, I actually enjoy the sales process. And actually, this past year, I enrolled 36 high ticket clients into our top tier coaching program. And now I'm just not feeling uncomfortable getting on camera like I used to. It. As a matter of fact, we regularly do live streams. I've been able to erase the imposter syndrome, and I'm no longer constantly worrying about what other people are thinking about me. So, using what we're sharing here in this webinar, it has automatically led me to making different decisions, taking different actions, and living life on my terms. I'm happily married. I'm enjoying traveling, doing the work I'm loving, and I get to spend lots of quality time with family and friends. Odile? Oops, I think you're still
classic,
muted.
the classic, I'm muted. All right. Thank you, Steve, for that. And so a little bit about my background. Up until 2016, I had rock bottom self-esteem and self-worth. I was easily overwhelmed. I had a fear of people not liking me. I was helping other people through my coaching, but I couldn't help myself. I had 25 years of failed businesses. I was professional grade people pleaser, and I was unable to pay bills, unable to ask to be paid for my work. And so I did a lot of work for free, and I was cleaning houses because I couldn't make it from being a coach. After using what we're going to be sharing with you today, I was not only able to pay my bills, but I was able to travel internationally within just a few months. And that's how I met Steve. And I became comfortable charging what I'm worth, no more people pleasing, and I felt authentically confident. So I found I was still, of course, I'm still kind and compassionate, but I'm no longer worried about what others will think. So I was able to do what I love for a living, travel, and I now live in America, which is where I'd always wanted to live. And I'm living a life I love. So I also ended up owning 3 of the rental properties that I used to clean back in 2015. We've spent tens of thousands of dollars on marketing consultants, training, and courses, and I know some of you out there will be able to relate to that. Our income was roller coaster, and we were attracting the wrong kind of people. We used what we teach our clients ourselves, and we started finding the right people to work with. We had our first 6-figure revenue year last year, 2023, and we're now attracting the right clients. So the reason we've decided to specifically cater to coaches and help coaches is because there are coaches out there, and you may be one of them, with solutions to problems whose doubts and fears are stopping them from earning the income that they need in order to grow their business, create financial security for themselves and their families, and continue to help more people. So empowering even just one coach could change the world through a ripple effect. And that's why we're so passionate about it. And our mission is to empower 1,000 coaches to use their gifts to transform 1 million lives. So the first part of this webinar is gaining control over your own brain chemistry, and of course the GPS, your brain's GPS. So starting with the reason we start with gaining control over your own brain chemistry is because that's what you need in order to change your brain's GPS as well. So part of gaining control over your brain chemistry is that anything you do, marketing, sales, and any other activity, is useless without this control. And the reason is, here are some examples. So if you were to if you're wanting to create content, for example, trying to create content without control over your own brain means you may not have any ideas, you don't know what to post, you can't come up with ideas, you may have creative blocks, you may experience procrastination, you may have a fear of what others will think, and when you do post content, it may not be your best. Engaging with prospective leads without control over your own brain, you may find you have fear of rejection, you don't know what to say, or you may feel fake, you don't feel authentic, you may be overwhelmed, and of course, if you're like me, you may be a people pleaser. And trying to do sales calls without control over your own brain, you may find you avoid them altogether. You may have imposter syndrome, self-doubt, fear of rejection. You may hate selling, and you may have a fear of failure. And then even hiring professionals without control of your own brain may result in you choosing the wrong people to work with, making the wrong financial decisions. Your judgment and risk assessment may be impaired, and you may find you have a pattern of being taken advantage of. So if you were to drive from the city to the beach and you didn't know how to drive your vehicle, of course, you wouldn't get very far. And this is the equivalent of learning to drive your vehicle is gaining control over your own brain chemistry. So all negative emotions are a level of the fight, freeze, flight emergency state. And when you're feeling any negative emotion, your brain is triggering the production of stress chemicals, the same stress chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol that are created when your life is in danger. So your brain can't tell the difference between those negative emotions and an actual threat to your life. And one of the effects of those stress chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol is that blood drains from the prefrontal cortex of the brain, where we do our cognitive thinking, to the back of the brain for survival. So that means you literally don't have access to your cognitive thinking, your strategizing, problem solving, creativity. So for example, if you're trying to write content while in a negative emotional state, you literally can't access the part of your brain you need in order to come up with that content, communication, and all other higher levels of thinking. You may have found that when you're in an encounter with someone where you've been emotionally triggered, that it's only later that you think of all the things you could have said or should have said. Let us know in the chat if you know what that feels like. And the reason for that is that while you were in the middle of being emotionally triggered, you had no access to that part of your brain. Later, as the stress chemicals came down, and blood returned to that part of your brain, then you were able to think of all the things you could have said or should have said. So trying to do anything, trying to take any action or make any decisions while you're in a negative state is like trying to drive with the handbrake on. In order to release the handbrake, in other words, in order to bring blood back to the prefrontal cortex, you need to reduce the level of stress chemicals in your system and start producing feel-good chemicals like endorphins, serotonin, and oxytocin, and that allows blood back to that part of the brain. So thoughts are connections between neurons in the neocortex of the brain, and those connections between neurons trigger matching chemicals. So to put it very simply, negative thoughts, as those neurons connect, when you have a negative thought, that triggers the production of stress chemicals and like adrenaline and cortisol. And as neurons connect, as you have a positive thought, that triggers the production of feel-good chemicals like endorphins, serotonin, and oxytocin. It takes just 60 to 90 seconds to switch your system from stress chemicals to feel-good chemicals, as long as you're keeping your focus off the negative and on the positive for that minute and a half. The problem is that for most of us, we think of the negative thing, we feel the negative emotions, and then we think about those negative things. And every connection between neurons, as we're focusing on the negative or even just pondering it, thinking about it, is pumping more and more stress chemicals into our system. So that's why it can take, and that restarts that 90-second clock each time. So that's why those negative emotions last longer than 60 to 90 seconds. The other thing about this is that it's easier to feel bad than to feel good, because stress chemicals are stronger than feel-good chemicals, because they're for survival. And that's because, of course, it's more important to keep your focus on the bear that may attack you than on the pretty flowers. So we're designed that way for survival. So here's a real life example of how this works in a practical sense. When Swasti first came to us, she was 18 years old. She was very self-conscious and anxious. She was worried about what others thought, and she wanted to be a doctor, but she couldn't get the grade she needed to get into medical school. Everyone around her, all her friends, were getting offers from medical schools, and she was being turned down, and she couldn't concentrate. She suffered from procrastination and overwhelm. She was overworking and not getting any results, and she was filled with self-doubt and fear. We taught her how to gain control over her brain chemistry, and that, combined with changing her brain's GPS, resulted in her getting higher marks than she needed on her exam. She didn't just get into medical school, she got into her first choice medical school, which is something she hadn't expected. And she's just started her penultimate year of medical school this month. So there's a future doctor that wouldn't exist if she hadn't gained control over her own brain. And we're very, very proud of her. And as an extra bonus, Swasti went from consumed by self-doubt, anxiety, worrying about what others would think, to starting her own YouTube channel, which we're thrilled about. So moving on to the brain's GPS. So now you know how the brain chemistry works and the effects of that. Let's go on to the GPS. So what's the difference between people like Alex Hormozi, Tony Robbins, and you? What's the difference between the people who are able to achieve success from all different backgrounds, in all different industries, and those who work just as hard, have the right mindset, and even take advice from many of these people, and yet just can't seem to achieve that success no matter what they do? The difference is not personality, because of course there's all kinds of different personalities who are successful, and all kinds of personalities who are not successful. It's not opportunities or resources or background. It's, excuse me, oh, water. Sorry. Um, it's not determination or motivation, because there's plenty of people who are very determined and motivated, and who never achieve success anyway. It's not hard work. Again, there are people who work really hard and never succeed. It's not skills or knowledge or time. It's not training or coaching. It's not discipline. It's not connections or relationships. It's not visualization or motivation, or whatever that is. The Zoom bar is in the way. There we go. A visualization or affirmations. And it's not even massive action, because there are people out there who do all of these things, or even a combination of them, who are successful, and there are people who do them and are not successful. So these are not the things that make the difference. The key difference between them and you is the brain's evidence that proves your self-image and worldview. So their brains contain unconscious evidence that proves their successful unconscious self-image, while your brain contains unconscious evidence that proves your limiting self-image. And very importantly, that evidence is not necessarily true. And I'll go into that a little bit. So if you wanted to drive from the city to the beach and you know how to drive, but your GPS is still set for the city, then of course, the time you start heading towards the beach, your GPS is going to turn you around and guide you back to the city. And in the same way, your brain is always keeping you in alignment, not with what you consciously want, not with your conscious goals, desires, intentions, but with your implicit childhood memories, which are the brain's GPS. So implicit memory is unconscious memory. If you were to look outside and notice it's raining, which it is here in central Illinois today, how do you know it's rain? How do you know it's not dangerous? And how do you know if you walk out into it, you'll get wet? You probably can't remember the last time you learned about rain, but your brain has that information stored as implicit memory. So it's something you just know. So in the same way, as we go about our day, as we encounter the world, what we see, hear, feel, the data enters the back of the brain first, the unconscious part. So this is without our conscious, before we become consciously aware, the data has already entered that part of the brain. And the unconscious part of the brain refers to our implicit childhood memories that prove what this means, what we're experiencing, what it means. And that then triggers the brain to produce chemicals that create feelings and emotions. And then the conscious mind becomes aware and we respond accordingly. So that's why it's so difficult to change our core behaviors and beliefs, because we only become conscious of them after the unconscious part of the brain has done its check. And it's still referring to that evidence from childhood of what this experience means. It's also why different people experience and respond to the same situations differently, because each one of us, each person's brain is referring to different implicit childhood memories. Type 2 in the chat if that was a light bulb moment for you. So what makes the difference between you and someone who's already built a successful business is that your brain contains unconscious evidence that it's not safe to do so, while that other person's brain does not contain that evidence. So the brain's GPS is implicit childhood memories. And here's an example of how this works in a real life example. When Peter first came to us, he was already a successful entrepreneur, but he'd struggled his way to success. So he was taking all the right actions and he was working 14 hours a day sometimes, but he wasn't getting the results he wanted. And he said he felt like a glass ceiling was keeping him from leveling up his business in the way he wanted to. We helped him to change his brain's GPS using our 3-step system, which is gaining control over his brain chemistry, finding the specific implicit childhood memories that were causing the issues he was having, and then changing those to match the results he wanted to achieve. And as a result, he found he finally stopped self-sabotaging. He no longer had imposter syndrome. Within the first month, he increased his revenue by 25%. His anxiety levels dropped, his health improved, and he no longer had that pattern of struggle. So at a recent workshop I was actually not so recent anymore. It was last year sometime at a workshop I did. Somebody asked me the question, what about successful people who haven't changed their childhood memories? So there are successful people who've had bad, negative experiences in their childhood, and some of them have even had trauma, and they haven't changed their childhood memories. How come they're able to be successful anyway? And I think it's such a great question, so that's why I wanted to include it here. So first of all, every individual has a different combination of references. So this is not a one size fits all, obviously. And if it was just a case of taking massive action or working harder or using affirmations or visualizations, then those things would work for everyone. But they don't. They don't work for everyone. They work for some people, they work for some things. And the third piece here is that what we perceive as success is not always accurate. So you may be able to think right now of celebrities who seem to have it all, but then it turned out that they were suffering without anyone knowing. So our negative childhood references show up in different ways. For some people, it is financial or career and business. For others, it may be issues in their relationships. For others, it may be their physical health, emotional health, or mental health. And for some of us, of course, it's a combination. So think of it this way. If you think of a Rubik's Cube, the way to solve this Rubik's Cube, of course, is to twist the blocks until you end up with 6 sides of a solid color each. But how would you solve this Rubik's Cube that has too many red squares and not enough green? Some Rubik's Cubes can be solved by twisting the blocks until you end up, and then some may take longer, they may take different twisting patterns, but they end up with that solved state. But others, no amount of twisting those blocks is ever going to end up with 6 sides of the same color. In the same way, some of us, so to change that Rubik's Cube, of course, to solve that Rubik's Cube, you have to replace the red squares with green. Then any twisting you do and so on is going to end up with that solved state. And in the same way, for some of us, we need to change the building blocks of our self-image and worldview, the physical references that our self-image is based on, changing those references, then all of the other things, affirmations, visualization, massive action, and all the other things can work. So let's move on to how to do that. So setting your own coordinates of your GPS to match the results that you want. Implicit memories created in childhood prove our self-image and worldview, provide the evidence for our self-image and worldview. The unconscious part of the brain is constantly referring to those memories and then triggering the chemicals that create emotions and feelings, and then the conscious mind responds automatically. So in order to change your brain's GPS, you need to change the childhood memories that are proving the results you're getting now. But can memories really be changed? So based on the latest in neuroscience, not only can memories be changed, but they are already changing and updating automatically. So you may have found when speaking with friends and family about an event that you all experienced, that everyone seems to have their own version of what happened. And that's because memories are neither accurate nor permanent in the first place. And then finally, the unconscious part of the brain can't tell the difference between reality and imagination, can't use logic or reason, and can't judge something as unrealistic. You may have found that when you're watching a scary movie, you feel the fear, even though you know it's just a movie. So your conscious mind knows it's just a movie, but the unconscious part of your brain that can't tell the difference between reality and imagination thinks that you are in real danger and is pumping stress chemicals into your system, creating that fight, freeze, flight state, just as it would if you were in real danger. And in addition to that, you may have found that even if the movie is unrealistic, it doesn't matter. you still feel the fear because the unconscious part of your brain can't judge something as unrealistic and can't use logic or reason. So considering our implicit memories, our implicit childhood memories prove our self-image and worldview, memories are already changing and updating anyway, and the unconscious part of the brain can't tell the difference between reality and imagination, can't use logic or reason, and can't judge something as unrealistic, we can create new evidence that proves the results we want to experience. Then those results are automatic. And this is the most common question we have, or objection we have, is isn't that brainwashing yourself or gaslighting yourself or denying what happened? And it is a good question. So think of it this way. When you change the coordinates in your GPS from where you are to where you want to be, your next destination that you want to get to, the GPS accepts those new coordinates for the new destination, while you as the driver can still remember where you were before. In the same way, the unconscious part of your brain will accept the new childhood memories as evidence of your new self-image and worldview, while you, at your conscious mind, the driver, you'll consciously still remember what originally happened. So changing memories is just for the unconscious part of your brain. There's no gaslighting or brainwashing yourself involved. So here are some of the real world effects on your business of changing childhood memories. If at the moment you struggle to come up with content, or you can't be consistent with it, or you're worried about what other people will think, changing the negative implicit childhood memories that are causing those concerns, those issues is the word I'm looking for, will result in you automatically coming up with creative ideas and being able to use your own unique voice, feeling authentically confident and enjoying the activity instead of having to force yourself to do it, which of course all of that results in being able to be consistent. And the result of that, of course, means that you will then automatically get your business in front of the right people, and you'll be able to stand out from the crowd like others do. If at the moment you're feeling hesitant to raise your pricing, for example, to reflect the value that you provide, and this is such a common thing, especially with coaches, where we're providing great value, but are hesitant or feel reluctant or unable to charge what we should be charging. Changing the implicit negative childhood memories that are causing that reluctance will automatically allow you to just know your worth. You won't have to think about it. You'll automatically know it, and you'll be able to comfortably and confidently charge higher prices. And that, of course, will result in you attracting higher paying clients who trust you because you're authentically confident. You're not pretending. And finally, if you've been struggling with sales calls, if you hate sales or you avoid the calls altogether, perhaps you have a fear of rejection, or you don't feel confident, or you feel fake, changing the unconscious implicit childhood memories that are proving that limiting self-image for you will automatically result in you feeling confident, authentically comfortable, enjoying the process, enjoying the connection, and coming up with more insights and clarity. And of course, all of that results in you being able to work with your ideal clients who are paying you what you want and what you deserve. So in order to become one of the 18% of successful coaching businesses, you need to change the negative childhood memories, and then you'll achieve that automatically. So here's another real life example of how this works. When Deborah first came to us, she wasn't making enough money in her business. She knew that she needed to raise her pricing, but she just couldn't get herself to do it. She said she was stuck, and she said she felt like she was taking 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. She'd done so many courses on money making and business success, and that hadn't worked. And despite her hard work, she couldn't break the cycle of that financial struggle. She was filled with self-doubt, procrastination, and freezing. So she said she literally couldn't get her fingers to move on the keyboard at times. We helped her to change the memories using our three-step system. So we taught her to gain control over her brain chemistry. We helped her to find the specific implicit childhood memories that were causing those problems, that were keeping her financially stuck. And then, of course, we helped her to change those memories. And the result was that she started getting up in the morning feeling excited to take action instead of procrastinating. She leveled up her business. She had no more self-doubt or procrastination or panic. She had a new authentic confidence and enthusiasm and purpose for her business. And she said, suddenly it felt right that she was able to charge more. She said it felt normal, it felt right. So at the end of this particular webinar, we'll be offering you a chance, before I move on to the next session, we'll be offering you a chance to speak with Steve on a call. He'll talk about, find out the results you want to achieve, what's currently holding you back from those results, and then the specific unconscious references that are blocking you from achieving the results you want, and how to change those memories so that your brain's GPS is automatically keeping you in alignment with success. I will tell you a little bit more about the program later, but in the meantime, there's a QR code on your screen, and there is a URL on the screen as well if you can't use the QR code, and Steve will put the link in the chat as well if you want to go ahead and grab a slot for those calls, for a call in the meantime. So moving on to part 2, which is the strategy. If you were to invest any more time or effort in marketing or sales without changing your implicit childhood memories, that would be like buying a new engine for your vehicle without changing the GPS to match the new destination. So it doesn't matter how wonderful those your marketing and sales are, if you haven't changed, your GPS is still set for the results you've been getting, then it's going to keep you in alignment with that. And visualization, mindfulness, affirmations, and all other personal development tools will work if your brain is not referring to contradicting childhood memories that prove the opposite to those things. So once you've changed your brain's GPS, then you'll automatically be able to see things differently. You'll know your true worth without having to try and believe it. You'll just know it and your value without any doubt. You'll feel authentically confident and comfortable charging more. You'll be happy to take action that you don't like taking right now. So like Steve used to hate sales calls, he enjoys them now. You'll make different decisions, you'll notice different opportunities, and you'll be more creative and innovative. And on top of all that, you'll attract different people to the ones you're attracting now. So a key part here is that it's not necessarily about trauma, and the references, the childhood memories, are not necessarily the same topic that you're experiencing now. And here's an example of that. So when Michelle attended one of our weekend workshops in Seattle, she was in a full-time job that she wasn't crazy about, and she really wanted to start her own consultancy business. But she couldn't get financially secure enough in order to leave her job and start that business. When she came to the workshop, she was feeling frustrated, and she felt like she was being held back by something she had no control over from what she wanted to do. So she felt helpless to move forward. Using our detective techniques, we found the link between what she was experiencing financially and the memories of her parents holding her back from going to the high school that she so desperately wanted to attend. So as you can see, that's not trauma, but it is unconscious references that are implicit memory that are that the brain is referring to without her conscious awareness. So once we helped her to change those memories and some other memories that were linked, Michelle was able to then start, she now runs her own successful coaching and consultancy business, and she also moved to Hawaii as a bonus. So the way that that worked is as Michelle started making progress towards her goal of being able to leave her job and start the business she wanted, her brain was in real time, without her conscious awareness, referring to the fact, the so-called fact, that it's normal for her to be held back from what she wanted to do. And it was then producing chemicals that affected, through emotions and feelings, affected her decisions, her judgment, her perception, and her risk assessment. And all of that, of course, was affecting her financial financial pattern. When we changed those childhood memories, her brain was then affecting, in the same way, affecting her decisions, judgment, and risk assessment without her conscious awareness, but now in alignment, to keep her in alignment with the new unconscious self-image, that she's always free to do what she loves, instead of the old unconscious self-image. So you can create the business success you want, you can have the freedom you want, and you can impact the world. You just need to change your brain's GPS to match that life, and then the rest is automatic. So here's the solution. At the Remmert method, we focus on three main pieces. The first is gaining control of your emotions and your strategic and creative thinking through gaining control over your own brain chemistry. The second piece is finding the implicit childhood memories that are keeping you stuck and are proving your current self-image and worldview. And then, of course, changing those memories, changing your brain's GPS to match the results you want so that the results are automatic. So here are just a few. Obviously, we don't have time to go into everybody's story, but here are a few of the people we've helped. We've helped lots and lots of people over the last 8 years, and these are a few of the ones who've shared their stories publicly. And so now I'm going to tell you a little bit about our accelerated business transformation program. It includes our proprietary detective work process. So we help you to find the original unconscious references, those implicit childhood memories that are currently proving the results you're getting. It includes our proprietary memory changing techniques that work within minutes, and it's gentle, it's enjoyable. There's no reason to relive negative memories or go through any negative stuff at all. So it's enjoyable, and of course, it's lasting. And then there's also our 2-minute brain chemistry technique that we teach so that you can condition your brain to produce lower levels of stress chemicals and higher levels of feel-good chemicals. Everything we do in this business transformation program is focused on business. So this is not therapy or addressing emotional issues or anything like that. Of course, it is all connected, but we laser focus on getting the business results. So the shortcut between where you are now and the business results you want. And we do whatever we need to do to get you from here to there. Excuse me. So it includes lifetime access to our academy, excuse me, which includes short video lessons from Steve and me, fillable workbook, and everything you need in order to condition your brain to produce lower levels of stress chemicals and higher levels of feel-good chemicals, everything you need to be able to find the negative implicit childhood memories that are causing your current challenges, and of course, everything you need to change those memories so that you get the results automatically. In addition, you'll do in-person sessions with me on Zoom each week so that I can take you personally through any specific, finding specific memories for you personally, changing them. And you'll also get unlimited email support from me between live sessions, MP3 downloads of the exercises and techniques so you can use them whenever you want, and of course, access to our community. Bonus number 1 is a copy of our audiobook in addition to a PDF copy of our book. The book has all of the scientific references and resources for those who are interested in the neuroscience behind the research behind what we do. It also includes case studies and examples from some of our clients, and how we a lot more detail about our own stories and how we got to this point. Bonus number 2 is a fun little incentive that I came up with. And this is optional. So if you want to take part, at the beginning of each week, you set the tasks that you want to accomplish by the end of the week. And if at the end of the week you've achieved that goal, we refund you $10. So that's just a fun little incentive for those who like gamification. Bonus number 3 is whenever you feel ready, and again, this is optional, we will do an interview with you about your business on our YouTube channel, so that you can get exposure to our audience if you would like, and then we'll share that with our social media. And number 4, for the first 4 people who join through this webinar, I'll do a private one-to-one session with you. And you can use that session whenever you need it. So you don't have to use it straight away. And during that session, I'll help you to identify the result and I'll take you through the detective process to find the specific memories, and I'll help you to change them. And very importantly, in this particular one-to-one session and in the group sessions, I can work with you no content, so you don't have to share any details of any memories, unless, of course, you want to. So it's a 3-month program, and it includes everything I've mentioned, plus the bonuses, and the price is $297 per month. There are 5 people in this group already, and I want to keep it small. I'm not going to work with more than 12 people in this group. So there are 7 spaces available at the moment. And you cannot buy this online. So you can't buy this any other way. The only way to get it is to book a call with Steve. And the reason for that is because this is a group program, we want to make sure, obviously, that everybody's a good fit. So it's going to depend on that. So if you book a call with Steve, he will then answer any questions you have, of course, and he'll also find out where you are now, what you need, what you're wanting to achieve, and make sure that we are actually able to help you do that. And then he'll give you the next steps for getting started. All right, so that's the end of the presentation, and now we are going into the Q&A. So I know that there are some questions. Steve, did you want to do the questions?
Yeah, I will go through. There is a few. First, just a quick one on the date and time for the weekly group session.
Oh, yes. So the live group sessions are on Wednesdays at 12:30 Central Time. So I know that's, it's difficult we tried to come up with a time that would suit as many time zones as possible. If you really want to do the program and you cannot make that time, let us know. Send us put it in the Q&A or the chat, or email us, and we'll see if there's enough people that need a second time. Then I'll create a new, an additional session that will help fit in with a different time zone.
Yeah. So I think that probably clarifies the question for Rachel, our weekly sessions group. And the answer, of course, is yes. There's a question about being able to send out the slides along with the link to the recording.
Sure. Yes, I'm happy to do that.
Yep. So,
make a note.
Yeah, and I answered a question earlier regarding sending out the link for the recording after the session for all attendees. There was an issue regarding booking. I know that a couple of people hopped on the booking link already to realize that there are no booking options available yet for next week.
Oh, okay. Oh, for next week.
right?
Okay, I see. Yeah, because so we've only opened it for this week. So because we want to get you started next week. So booking needs to be done, all the calls need to be done really by Friday.
But if that causes a problem and people can only book next week, um, reach out to us individually and
Yes,
we'll set up a separate call for that.
absolutely. Absolutely. Very
Um,
good.
and an earlier question, do you focus on the body in addition to the brain? The book, I'm assuming the name of the book is Your Body is Your Brain Points to the
Yes.
Power of Embodiment.
Very good. It's a great question. Thank you for that. The the blah, blah, blah. I've got too many thoughts in my head and they're all trying to get out at the same time. Okay, so we don't specifically focus on the body as a separate thing because the brain is running the body. And so we focus on brain chemistry and childhood memories, finding and changing those childhood memories. Where the body comes in is, of course, we feel everything in the body. So as we have a negative thought, or as the brain is referring to a negative childhood memory, the trigger of stress chemicals will create changes in the body all over. It affects our organs, it affects our digestion, it affects all of our systems, and we experience that then. So we focus on the brain because that is the original, that's the thing that's controlling everything else. And the body is changes in the body are an automatic result of that.
Great. Another question regarding the timing of the group program. So this is only 3 months, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
But it is ongoing, so that like the core part of that program is 3 months, but people can continue monthly
Sure,
after that,
yes.
right?
That's right, yes. So the initial sort of the initial thing is 3 months. And then if you want to continue, you're absolutely welcome to continue. But it will, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking it'll depend on how many new people we have coming in. So
Mm.
that may be an option. We may create a separate ongoing support option for people who've been through the program already.
Great.
I
You got that other question there?
Yes, I've just seen Linda asks, how long does the program take for change to occur? So it's going to depend on, different people, of course, and what you're addressing. However, you can experience change in the very first session. So this is not something that takes a long time. So for examples, I helped someone overcome a fear of being on camera in literally just half an hour. So the program is there to give you all the details, the information, the training, the support from me, and so on over a period of 3 months. But you will be getting changes all along the way.
Another question, do you use any hypnosis techniques like regression?
Thank you again for your question, Linda. No, we don't use regression or any other hypnosis techniques. We've developed our own techniques that don't require hypnosis or anything like that.
Great. And I
You're welcome,
think
Linda.
I think that uh,
Is
unless
that the end?
unless I've missed something, I think that that's it for the
Oh, I've
questions.
seen another one. Someone asked, Rachel. Hi, Rachel. She asked, are weekly sessions group? Yes, they are in a group. So the only one-to-one option, which is
Mhm.
part of this offer, would be for the first 4 people, the one-to-one session with me, and that's a one-off. But the weekly sessions are group. Um, and Rachel says, and there is only one one-to-one session, correct? Yes. So the one-to-one session is just for the first 4 people who join from this webinar. And because I actually don't do one-to-one sessions myself, Steve does all our one-to-one programs. So it's just a kind of a bonus for those first 4 people.
And Odile, there's another chat question. What is the program fee?
So it's $297 per month for the 3 months.
Great.
Any
Okay.
other questions? Is that it?
I
Thank you
think
so much, everyone. It was lovely to have you here. It's so lovely to recognize some of the names from my LinkedIn connections. So shout out to you guys who we've been supporting each other's posts, and it's so lovely to see you here. I appreciate you being here, and thank you all for taking the time. Very, very excited to have been sharing this with you. And I'm going to take us off the shared screen now. Here we are.
I was
All
so
right.
tiny.
So now, if you have any other questions that come up for you, of course, please don't hesitate to let us know. You will receive an email with the recording of this webinar as well. And then I will also add the recording to our YouTube channel. So find us on our website, theremmertmethod.com, or of course on social media. Lots of love to all of you.
Wait,
Bye-bye.
just a clarification. There was maybe you saw this question, maybe you answered it already, but it was regarding the one-to-one session. The one-to-one session in your group is for the first 4 people that
That's right.
sign
Yes.
into the group, right?
Yes, I did actually answer that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's all right. You were probably answering somebody in the chat.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Sorry.
No, I was just signing off and looking
Say
forward
goodbye.
to speaking to people on the calls.
Hi, Matt. Bye, Matt. It's lovely to see you. To see you again too. It was so lovely to meet you in person when we were in the UK. All right. Lots of love to all of you. Bye bye now.
Bye for now.